So when I put out the bat signal for fan questions, one person sent in so many questions. So this is your biggest fan for sure. So this is Kristen Courville. So she lives out in the boonies around, Russell, Limoges, out there, Chrysler, out in that area.
Oh, wow.
So here's her question. Well, I selected one of 30 questions. So this is.
Come on, she didn't write 30 questions.
I swear to God. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. And then she asked, like, oh, how'd I do? Like, maybe she didn't do well enough with her 30 questions. So this is your super fan. Shout out to Kristen. She says, how has your family reacted to things you've talked about on air? Has there been any issues with them since, maybe like trust, or do they tell you flat out, I don't want you to talk about me or this and that? Or do they actively help you to find content? So what happens with family with all these stories?
You know what? My family has been not only very supportive of me talking openly about things that happen to us, but my brother has also called into my show numerous times over the years to give his updates on, traffic updates, because he lives way out in Orleans. So like traffic updates about what's going on there. He'll call for certain things that we're talking about. And, it's funny that he still does this, because my brother, when we were younger, would fall asleep like all the time, right? He was narcoleptic. I would always say that he was narcoleptic. And like even driving, so like when we were teenagers, he'd be driving and then he would just pull over and just like sleep on the side of the road until he was ready to rock and roll. Where it would be fine with my parents, because he's the second kid. The first kid, I had the car, I'd have to be home. If I wasn't home, I'd be in shit, you know what I mean? Like I paved the way for that kid. Anyway, so on the air, I'm talking about this and telling this story. And instead of saying that my brother is narcoleptic, I said my brother was a necrophiliac.
Isn't that where you have sex with corpses? Or is that not it? Well, it could be true. We don't know for sure.
And whatever, I support my brother whatever he wants to do. So anyway, I hit my microphone. I'm like, yeah, pretty good. It's a pretty funny story. Pat myself on the back. The phones light up. My phone's blowing up. People are like, dude, you just said your brother fucks dead people. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't mean that. I meant he falls asleep. My brother's calling me. What the fuck did you just say?
The next phone call was your brother from prison.
So needless to say, I had to go and obviously correct myself. But people will still come up to my brother and be like, yo, remember that time your sister said you fuck dead people? So to answer my super fans question, no, they are very supportive. Actually, you know what? My mom's friends and my mom's neighbors are kind of jealous that I talk about my mom and dad as much as I do. They're like, why does Chelsea always talk about you? My mom's like, because I'm a great sidekick, It's really easy to make fun of Emerald, and she's a good sport. So, and my dad contributes to my dad jokes if I have any as well. So there's that.
So we have some questions from some of those crazy Russell people that know your family. So, so bear with this. So from Aaron Franny, is that right? Franny. Aaron Franny.
Yes.
This is some weird questions. If you could travel to another planet, which one would you choose? What are your favorite memories from Russell? Have you ever been arrested? Who is your favorite uncle? And be careful when you answer. And then in response to that, from Shannon Underwood, she says, or who's your favorite aunt? Even more careful when you answer this. So I'm assuming this is family or neighbors or whatever.
Yeah. So that my Uncle Aaron is one of my 3 uncles on my mother's side. My Aunt Shannon is her oldest sister, one of 5 on my mom's side. So I have 8. My mom is one of 8 and my dad is one of 5.
So the questions are hard to remember, but if you could travel to another planet, favorite memories from Russell, and have you been arrested?
Well, actually, if I could go to a Star Wars planet, I'd want to go to Tatooine. Although it's pretty dusty there and like destitute and stuff, but seeing as it is, I know this is going to air later, and I do love Star Wars so much. Yeah, I would go to Tatooine. Probably easier to go to Mars though, because it's real. So there's that one. Have I ever been arrested? Like technically, no. Like I've never actually gone to jail, but I have been put in the back of a cop car a couple of times. But I've never been like put in cuffs or like never no not done anything like that. And I've never been booked in. Like I've never been booked in. If he claims to think that I have been, then I don't know where he's talking about. Like I almost got arrested in Florida, but he let us go. So it was close. I've been close. And who's my favorite uncle? He wants me to say him, but he knows it's my Uncle Tyrone, so it's fine.
Shots fired.
Yeah. He already knows. He'll be fine. He'll bug me when he sees me in a couple days.
You mentioned earlier that overnight you get a list of songs or topics or things that are going to get played. Is there any wiggle room to add some of your favorite music or some listener calls, or is it just straight here, follow the script, talk about it?
When it comes to phone calls, for sure, we can play whatever we want. When it comes to music, it's a little bit more dicey. There is an algorithm and a method to the madness when it comes to the music that we play because of all the regulations that we have to follow. Being terrestrial radio, being Canadian radio, 40%.
So CanCon?
Yeah, so we have to play 40% CanCon. And our music director, who is DJ Noah, he meticulously builds our playlists, and we can ask him, you know, if we can switch some songs out. We also have songs that we have that are already scheduled in that if we don't have enough time to play them, we can drop them, which won't affect his algorithm or anything. As for requests, we do what we can, you know, like we have All Request Friday with Jen Traplin. So that's a big opportunity to get everything on. It's funny because a lot of people request the songs that we already play. So not to bust the magic of radio, but if it's already playing, then I just go like, oh yeah, it's coming up, you know, a little secret there. But besides that, there's always room to do something. It just has to go through the right channels. So I like to say it's above my pay grade. So I ask Noah. If Noah says yes, okay, cool. If Noah says no, all right. Then I push them to Fridays with Jen, which she loves.
Well, you know what else Jen Traplin loves? You. So here's a quote from Jen Traplin, radio DJ, Live 88.5. She says, Chelsea, this is one of the best quotes I've ever had on this podcast. So she says, Chelsea Miller is hands down the greatest storyteller you will ever meet, with a voice you'll never forget. To know her is to love her. And as I'm sure you know, everybody does. She is charming and generous and hilarious. She has the best comebacks, a wicked sense of humor, and an awesome laugh. She cares deeply and loves many. I am eternally grateful for her friendship and the thousands of laughs that we have shared. That's from Jen Traplin. And if ever I pass away early, I want her speaking at my funeral, because that is a legendary quote.
Jen is a very legendary, beautiful human being who has the gift of, like, I don't know why she talks about my voice. Her voice is like butter, you know. We've been fortunate enough to work together, but also too, we're really lucky. Her, myself, and Amal, outside of the radio station, we're really good friends. Like really, really good friends. Have been through a lot of shit together over the last, 15 years together, and I'm very grateful for Jen's friendship, Jen's support, Jen's leadership on the radio. Leadership as a female, as representing. Like there's a lot of talk about radio being the old boys club, and it's not wrong. It's real. It's a thing. But the glass ceiling is starting to break, and even just us here in Ottawa, for an example, Live 88.5 at one point was the only station in Canada. This might be a big stretch. Ontario for sure, but I bet you Jen will tell me I'm right. In Canada, that had a female on every day part. Every single day part had a female. It's like friggin' unheard of. Like that shit's crazy, right? And especially now when a lot of stuff is automated or there's voice tracking that is done for other stations, it's much more affordable to have a morning show and then have me voice track for Vancouver or me voice track for PEI and do all that stuff. And the fact that we still have live people on all day is huge. And it's a testament to our company and to our station and Yeah, and just the fact, but that was a very sweet quote. She's a good writer, eh? She used to write for the Metro. That was her side hustle. Oh man, I'm gonna have to buy wine now.
Yeah, she sent me that quote. Send me that quote, and she's like, "Is this okay?" I'm like, "That's the greatest piece of literature that anyone's ever sent me." Anyway, she said you're a great storyteller. Do you think that's your greatest strength? Is your storytelling?
Um, I think so. I'm not good at talking about myself really, but I would say that it has definitely improved as I've gotten more comfortable in the chair and behind the microphone. I definitely will say that. I do enjoy telling stories when I'm not on the microphone. I get animated, and a lot of my friends will tell you that. But yeah, storytelling I think is definitely a strong point. Also, not taking myself too seriously either, I think, is also helped me along the way. Like I'll say the most ridiculous stuff that makes absolutely no sense, but I just laugh it off and hope nobody was really listening. And then I'll get a phone call being like, "Did you just say that?" I'm like, "Damn it, you caught what I was saying." So yeah, storytelling, I think for sure. And I'm definitely not the best at it. And I try to improve on it every day. I have, since I worked in Halifax, so it's 6 years ago now, I worked with a brilliant person who was almost like 15 years younger than me at the time. His name was Colin. And he really helped me become a better announcer. He's very smart. He's very witty, but he writes things out and he's calculated, and he's just a great broadcaster. And he was 23 at the time. He's got a couple books published now, but he made me a better announcer because he made me put more work into it. You can't just come in and grab the mic and wing it. You know what I mean? You have to know what you're going into, so you sound concise and you sound precise. And by doing that, it makes you deliver your message much easier. So as much as a good storyteller I am, I'm only as good as what I write down and how I write it out, right? So, and Colin was the reason why I do that now, which I honestly think has made it much better, has made me a better announcer, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, storytelling is fun.
When people ask me what I do, I say I'm a storyteller, and I tell stories through music, through writing, through podcasting, through business. And I heard a powerful quote once that storytellers actually rule the world. When you think about it, like Steve Jobs was a storyteller and he captivated people, and musicians are storytellers, and writers are storytellers, and actors are storytellers. And when you're going on dates, it's storytelling. When you have a job interview, it's you're sharing your story. So if you can get good at storytelling, it might be the most powerful arsenal that you have, the most powerful weapon in your arsenal.
Oh, 100%. Our old GM, and he's only our old GM because he retired, said to me once that I could read the phone book and captivate people. And I was like, is that good or is that a bad thing? And he's like, no, people want to listen to you because of the voice you have, right? And I'm lucky that I do have this type of voice, this octave or whatever it is. But Scott was a storyteller, and he built Live 88.5 on being storytellers. And that's what we are. We are storytellers. We aren't announcers. We are all those things that encompass what you say to describe a radio jock or whatever we are. But we are storytellers. And when you think of what Live 88.5 is as a station, is we tell stories. We tell stories about tech. We tell stories about music. We tell stories about ourselves. We tell stories about the environment. We're very progressive, and it's a beautiful place to work. But it all started with our head storyteller, which is Scott. And I wouldn't be in this position right now if it wasn't for Scott taking a chance, and Neil, my first program director, but also Dan, my current program director, for keeping me, hired and being the support that he is. But there are people that you remember, in your life. And yeah, Scotty is definitely our storyteller. So we owe a lot of stuff to him. But you're right. Having that in your back pocket is your trump card, man. It's great.
We have a fan question sent in from Mike Lamonde. He says, or he asked, what is the wildest story you can share from your years with the gray owls? So number one, for those that aren't familiar, what are the gray owls? You mentioned when we were talking before that it was the white owls, but now with cancel culture, you can't call anything white or black. So have you been calling it the gray owls or just the owls? So anyways, clarify what that is for our listeners.
Okay. So we call ourselves the owls. We were formerly known as the white owls, and now we figure with, society, and we don't want to offend anybody, we just call ourselves the owls. And we are a group of friends. There's 8 of us, and we've been friends. Some of us have been friends since, before we were teenagers. A lot of us were friends. We got to know each other in high school, some of us before high school. Anyway, and we are best friends and have been best friends for 35 years, I guess now. And we were at a bar one night, all of us, and I don't know why or how this came about, but Jessica, one of the girls, we were trying to get everybody together, like round everybody up, and she decides that she's just going to stand on a stool and just goes, "White owls unite," like that, like just out of nowhere. And all of us are like, we just like flocked towards her. And it doesn't make any sense as to why. And it's never gone anywhere else. So obviously over the years, there's been marriages, divorces, kids, more heartaches, more kids. But we're still super tight. We still, minus the ones who don't live here. One of the girls, Erin, she owns this beautiful, like 100 acres or something, a beautiful land in Prince Edward County where she has a beautiful wellness retreat. So we don't see her as much. And Jessica has moved to Australia. So she's been living in Australia over a decade now. So we don't see her a lot either. But we went to Greece for our 40th birthdays. And Jessica came and met us there from Australia, which was awesome. And Erin was there too. So it was a beautiful time. I don't know if there's any crazy stories that I can't share or can share. We've done a lot of, like one of the girls used to work at the cop bar. So there's a lot of those stories I can't talk about. But we've done some crazy shit, but we've never been arrested. Very close. We used to like to steal plants. Why the fuck do you need to steal plants from people? I don't know, but it was a thing. We used to do it all the time. We also used to flash truck drivers as we were driving on the 417. Or if we were driving to Montreal. We used to go to a cottage just past Montreal, not just past, I'm lying, in Saint-Jean-Port-Joli. Have you ever been there? It's past Quebec City, like 8 hours. Jessica's family has a cottage there, so we used to go there every summer, and we'd have a girl trip there. And sure as shit, we'd have like flashing truckers on in the Trans-Canada, have these truckers following us. My mom would be like, "You guys are going to get killed or something's going to happen to you." We're like, "No, it's fine, blah, blah, blah." Yeah, it's fine until they pull up at the same exit as you. And you're like, "Oh, shit."
They don't recognize you with your shirts on, though.
No. But yeah, so those are the white owls, or I should say the owls. They get talked about a lot through the show. We do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of stuff. I wouldn't be anywhere without them, though. Honestly, they've been they're my life, my sisters from other misters. We can go for months without talking, which we don't, but we could, and it would still, whether they're the best friends. We have matching tattoos. Are you really friends if you don't have matching tattoos? I don't think so. That's like a prerequisite.
I don't have any tattoos, but then again, I don't have any real friends. So maybe maybe I'll go get my first tattoo with somebody that's willing to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the story with the owls. We have white. I don't even know if you can see it really well, but there's an owl tattoo right there. Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty good. She did a good job. Yeah.
So I have a tough question for you here. So no math involved, but radio makes its money from advertising. Now, over the years, with the rise of internet advertising that could be taking away some of the money that would go to radio advertising, and with the rise of streaming, where people can access any music they want without any ads and without any delay, how does radio compete with that? So you said there's still a place for radio. It's never going away. So how does radio compete with that? What is the competitive advantage?
The competitive advantage of radio is, you know how in sales they always say, if you want to make money, you have to spend money. It's like a thing in sales. Radio advertising is not cheap, but the people that you can reach is the benefit in the end. And really simply, terrestrial radio will survive because people want to know about traffic, like I mentioned before, and people want to know about local stuff. They want the local weather. They want the local traffic. They want to know why it's taking so long to get down the 417 going west, at 5:30 at night, where you go, well, it's 5:30 on the 417. But anyway, that is what people want to know. And that'll never change. It'll never, ever, 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 ever change. I think, too, is radio is competitive in the way that, at least with Stingray, we have the opportunity to take what we're doing on radio and putting it onto TV and putting it onto streaming sites because of the company that we have and because of the progressiveness of our company, which is lucky. And I think that is going to be the way of the future but making sure that the radio portion of your TV or of whatever that company has to play a big role as well. Maybe not a big role. Like it doesn't have to be 50-50, 60-40. You can look at other companies and their radio division is like that. Like you're looking at 5%. They don't give a shit, whereas the way that our company, and I'm not just like toting our company, but I am because I like to get paid, but the way that, and I believe it, but the way that they are doing it is a bit different because they're looking at radio as its own entity, but it's still propping up the other things. Like we prop up the karaoke, just like the karaoke props up us. The TV stations that play all of our Stingray channels, we have Stingray channels, like our radio stations are on there, right? So it's a whole a mixed bag of things. But I am a firm believer that no one will ever not want to know why there's traffic, and no one will ever not want to know when there's a fucking snowstorm coming. Even though being a meteorologist, you can be wrong 90% of the time and still keep your job, right? So, and all we do is just repeat the weather that they're already telling us is supposed to happen, whether it happens or not. But I do believe, I really do believe that it's just local shit. Like you listen to Sirius, you can listen to like Lithium or like all those awesome alt stations. They are starting to get commercials on them too. So, okay, terrestrial has commercials too, shitty. But you're sitting on like the Alexandria Bridge and you're not fucking moving, listening to some shitty commercial that has nothing to do with your town or anything, and you still don't know why the fuck you're stuck. But if you jumped over to us, you're going to hear, like Corbet and, whatever, local this, local that, local commercial. And then, oh, by the way, some douchebag just hit a pole on the bridge and that's why you're stuck. So, and we're still going to play the same shit that Lithium plays. You know what I mean? No, that's my terrestrial radio argument. I think I did well.
Good job. Yeah, A plus, gold star.